Hello friends and welcome to Tutorials Point. Well, look at the topic future tense, right? So future, don't you think it's something really interesting and adventurous for us to know? Aren't we so intrigued with this word, right? What is going to happen in the future? How's the life going to be in future and all of that, right? So now this very interesting aspect of our life that we are so intrigued to know about, you can only express it if you know about future tense, right? So don't you think it's really important to study about it? So let's go ahead and study about future tense. Okay. So like any tense, as we've already discussed in the types of tenses that we've already studied, that any tense will of course be of different types, right? Now depending upon whatever tense that you're studying, it could be the simple type of that tense, it could be the perfect form of that tense, continuous form and perfect continuous form, right? So same goes with future tense as well. But now, before we go into the types of future tense, don't you think it is important for us to know as to what is future tense, right? So very easy, I'm sure, for you all to gauge, and I'm sure that you all are aware of it, that what could be future tense. So any form of tense that tells you about future, very easy to gauge, right? Nothing complex, nothing tough, right? So let's go ahead and study the definition of future tense. Okay, so future tense depicts an action that happens in future or is likely to happen in future. So just right to what we gauged. So anything that is going to happen in future, the very interesting and intriguing part of it, right, that we think might happen in the future. So that form of tense which tells you about those things which are going to happen in future actually come in the category of future tense. So what are the various examples where you could use future tense? First of all, predictions. Obviously predictions are only for future, right? So anything that you think could happen in future and you're predicting about it sitting right now, right here, that is the position wherein you're going to use future tense. So for example, there will be rain tomorrow. So we are predicting something, right? It has not yet happened, but we predict, we presage that it might happen, right? Somewhere in future. Or else arrangements. So what do you mean by arrangements? For example, I am visiting his house tomorrow. So something that you're going to do, some action that you've planned which might happen in future, and you want to convey that. So that is also when you might want to use it. Now plans, I'm going to do an internship in May. So again, something related to future. Or else an action in progress. So for example, this time next month I will be in London. So again, it is something that is related to future. We are not discussing something that has already happened or is happening right now, but something that might happen in future, be it plans, be it arrangements, be it predictions, anything. Then fixed routine. For example, he shall attend the lecture tomorrow, right? So something that you feel is fixed, happened in the past, will happen, happens in the present and will continue to happen in the future as well. So that in that case also, this clause of future definitely comes into picture, right? So now then also, for example, here we just read, he shall attend the lecture tomorrow, right? So something that you think, or something that by virtue of the fact that it has been happening in the past, it happens in the present, so it might as well happen in the future. So in that case as well, you might want to use that. So as I already told you the different types, and we discussed that any tense be, past, present or future, will always have four forms, right? So you'll have simple future tense, you'll have future perfect tense, you'll have future continuous tense, and future perfect continuous tense, right? So continuous form of any tense is also interchangeably used with the word called as progressive. So it could be, either you call be it any form of tense, either you call it, for example, if we consider this future tense, either you call it future continuous tense or you call it future progressive tense. So we're just replacing this word, it means the same. So whenever you read this word anywhere related to any tense, do not get confused, do not get baffled that, oh my god, what is this, I never read about it. No, it's continuous is also sometimes interchangeably called as progressive, be it any tense that we are referring to. Clear? So now we have a slight brief. So let's dive deep in future. Let's know what is there for us, what is there for us in the store. So much to know. Let's go ahead. Okay. So the first form of any tense that we've been discussing whenever we studied the different types of tense is your simple future tense, right? So simple form of any tense, what is that? What do you comprehend by that? The easiest form to gauge, the easiest to identify, which probably has no clause or subclause added to it. The simplest and the easiest form of any tense is referred to as the simple form of that tense. So similarly goes for simple future tense. So simple future tense denotes an action that will take place in the future. So something that you predict might take place in the future is what will come in this category. So for example, you're predicting an event in the future. My uncle will come home tomorrow. So something related to future, easy, nothing, there's no subclause to it. Then, or for example, his brother will carry the suitcase for you. So again, will carry. So will carry is something that has not happened right now, is going to happen in the future, right? So again, that also comes in this category. So you will have to do what I tell you to do. So again, will have to do. So will have to do also is something that, whomsoever you're addressing it to, you're letting them know that, dude, hello, you have to do what I'll tell you to do, or you will have to do, right? So of course, like I tell you that you are gonna be perfect, so of course you will be perfect, right? So it's just like that. So here you will have to do what I tell you to do. So again, this is something, though you're giving an order, right? But it is something that whomever you're addressing it to will come into picture in the future, has not happened right now, only because of the fact that we have used this word will here, right? Okay, again, will you sing along? So again, so very easy for you to gauge is that if you have this word will, it only means that something that you're addressing has not happened right now and will happen in the future. So hence it denotes the future tense, right? So, and because when there is no subclause, there is no complex form added to it, it makes it even more easier. It makes it simple future tense, very easy to gauge. Okay, so now you have the future perfect tense. So what is a perfect form of any tense? As we've already discussed in so many videos, the perfect form of any tense will represent that tense in the most appropriate form or in the most perfect form, right? So that is something that we gauge whenever we read about the perfect form of any tense, right? So this is just a rough idea that I'm giving it to you. So what in real terms does that mean? So if you say that it is the perfect form of future tense, what would that mean? So something that we predict, a work which we predict will complete in the future, right? It could be something like that, because obviously it's a perfect form of future tense, and added to it, it's a future tense. So something related to the future, so some work which could have completed in the future, right? So something like this. This is the only rough idea that we get when we read about the name. So let's read the definition. This tense is used to express an action which the speaker assumes will have completed in future, right? So some work which we assume that will be completed in future. So this is the primary clause, right? So then, of course, now because it is not the simple form, so there'll be more something, definitely something different also that comes into picture. So let's first see the example. The patient will have recovered from illness next month. So again, will have recovered from illness next month. Now, it is also used to express completion of an act in future before another activity happens. Now, of course, because it is not the simplest form, so it has to have a subclause to it, right? So, for example, she will have learnt cooking before she moves to her independent house. So, again, she will have learnt cooking. So, something that we presume will complete or will happen in the future, but there's another work that's coming into picture before she moves to her independent house, right? So reading this, what do you gauge out of it? It is not the simple form of future tense, it is the future perfect tense. Now here, sometimes, of course, having said that, sometimes future perfect tense and simple future tense can be used interchangeably, but not always. So sometimes wherein we can use them, here is an example. For example, Linda will leave before you get there. So this is your simple tense, simple future tense, right? So Linda will have left before you get there. So it's just a difference of just a semantics, that's it, which is coming to picture, or in other words, it's just the difference in words which is making it happen, right? So here we've used will and here we've used will have, because of which this is the future perfect tense and this is just simple future tense, right? But it doesn't happen always. Here is how you will differentiate it. Okay. See, now we read that example, right? Will have left or will leave, right? So that is the situation where we said that we could use it, but not always. So read this. So sometimes what happens is, because of the by virtue of the fact that you use words such as before or by the time, it makes a sequence of events clear, right? So you need to use the future perfect. You used to so this is the set. So these words such as before or by the time, these words are used in case you are talking about future perfect tense, right? So see this. At 8 o'clock, Linda will leave. Now, this is a simple form of future tense, right? But in contrast, if we say at 8 o'clock, Linda will have left. So what is the difference? This is your perfect form. This is your simple form. Now what is the difference in between the two? So here, when we say that at 8 o'clock Linda will leave, which means that Linda will wait till 8 o'clock and exactly at 8 she will leave, right? But if we use this word at 8 o'clock Linda will have left. So when we say will have left, what does it mean? It means that before 8 o'clock, Linda will have left, right? She's not going to wait till 8 to leave. So this is the difference. Right? Now this is what comes into picture. Now because there's a timeline, which comes into picture. So both of these sentences convey different meanings, right? So either you might want to use words like before or by the time you reach there, Linda will have left. Or before 8 o'clock, Linda will have left before 8 o'clock. Either you can represent this information by using the words such as before, or if you do not do that, then this is how you are supposed to comprehend, because you might as well think that, okay, it's the same message, I can convey it in the form of simple tense also, right? But if you do that, the entire meaning of whatever you want to convey goes per toss, and you definitely don't want that to happen, right? Now, here if you read, Linda will leave before you get there, or Linda will have left before you get there. Now here there was a difference, right? Here there was a difference because now will leave before you get there. So this actually told you that she will leave before you get there, right? So there was no confusion, or else even if you presented the same thing in perfect form, you could have said Linda will have left before you get there. So obviously before you leave, you get there, Linda will have left, right? So both of these, whether you present this act in the form of simple tense or in the form of perfect tense, it means the same. But same thing, okay, just a minute, yeah. But same thing if you are presenting here, right? And you think that, okay, because we can change it and we can use it interchangeably, so how big of a difference does it make? Yes, here it is making a big difference because we have not used words like before or by the time, right? So thus, because of which simple form and perfect form make a huge difference, right? So get this concept crystal clear in your mind, that what do you actually want to convey, and basis that you should choose and decide what tense do you want to use to convey whatever message you want, right? Okay. So, but by now, of course, I'm sure you all might have gauged that how do we actually form this. So, it is will have plus the past participle. So, this is the formula which you use to formulate your perfect tense. So, for example, by 11 a.m. I will have completed my assignment. So, will have plus your past participle. So, what is past participle? It is the ed form of your verb, right? So, of course, will have plus completed is what is denoting or is what is specific to the fact that here we have used perfect form of future tense. Clear? Okay. Now, we have the continuous or the progressive form. So, obviously, what do we actually understand because of the fact that we have studied, to already about present tense and about past tense, and we have a slight idea what is continuous form of a particular tense or what the continuous form of a particular tense indicates. So, similarly, what do you think would a continuous form of future tense would indicate? So, obviously, something or some work which, we think that might continue for some time in the future before it ends, right? So, obviously, so because it is the continuous form, so which only means that a particular thing or a particular work has to continue for some period of time in the future to make it future perfect tense, right? So, here. Now, future perfect tense depicts an action that is likely to happen in future and continue for an expected length of time. So, something that is going to happen in future, and not only will it happen in future, it is also going to continue for some period of time in future, right? So, only in that case will you designate a particular tense as future continuous tense. Okay. Now, here, what are the various sub-clauses wherein you can use it? So, to denote an action that will be in progress at some point in future. For example, she will be having dinner with us tomorrow. So, again, will be having. So, because of which will be having, what do you understand? So, it is some work which is going to continue in future, and because it is going to continue in future, it will come in the category of future continuous tense, right? So, here to denote some action verbs. So, what are action verbs? We are already aware, right? So, those verbs which indicate some physical work that is done, they are called as action verbs, right? So, I will be running the marathon next month. So, I will be running. So, something that we assume or something that we presume would happen in the future, and not only will it happen, will also continue for some period of time in future, right? So, for example, now, also used to predict about future events. So, he'll be coming to school tomorrow. So, only because of the fact that we've used this continuous form here is because we can say that this would come in the category of future continuous tense. Now, how do we formulate it or how do we identify? That is what is important. Now, will be plus the present participle is what is the key, and this is what will land you to find out whether, what type of tense has been used here. So, here if you observe here also, or let it be this, will be plus I, what is your present participle? We are already aware, right? It is the ing form of the verb. So, running is also a present participle. So, will be plus ing form. So, when you see this together, when you see this combination, just, it should directly click into your mind that this is your future continuous tense. Or else here also if you see, he will be coming. So, will be plus coming. So, what is coming? Coming is the ing form of verb, which only means, your present participle. So, very easy to gauge again for you, nothing tough. So, will be plus your present participle is what will tell you whether it is a continuous tense or not. Easy? Okay. So, last but not the least, we have the future perfect continuous tense. So, as we already know, or I assume that you already know because you have seen all the videos as far as tenses are concerned, we have already covered them, that perfect continuous form of any tense has a clause of perfect as well, along with a clause of continuous in it, right? So, something that we predict will happen in the future, this is what we roughly gauge out of it. something that we predict will happen in the future. Not only will it happen, will also continue, before it ends for some particular time in future, right? Or something which we feel that, whenever it happened, but it continued for a particular period of time in future, right? So here, future perfect continuous tense depicts an action that will continue up till a point in future. So here, look at the example. Shannon will have been gardening for 3 years by then. So gardening for 3 years by then. So some work that we assumed will happen in the future and will continue, right? We don't know whenever it started, but it is going to also happen in future, and not only will it happen, it will also continue for a particular period of time, right? So that is the case wherein this type of tense comes into picture. Now, to denote an action that finishes just before another time or action in future. Now, because it is not the simple form of future tense, hence there is definitely a subclause added to it, right? So, when I meet you, I'll have been dancing for 2 hours, so I'll be tired. So again, I'll have been dancing, so I'll be tired. So again, I'll have been dancing, but there's another work which came into picture, right? When I meet you. So which is why, again, there was a work which started whenever, continued in future, but then along with that there's another thing that came into picture, right? So because of which this is also a situation in which you can use future perfect continuous tense, right? Okay, so for future perfect continuous tense, now this is something that is very important, and that is, you need to keep this in mind. Now it is always used with action verbs. You cannot use it with non-action verbs. Now non-action verbs are also called as non-stative verbs, right? So what are non-action verbs? For example, these feelings, for example, loving or feeling sad. So what are these? These are non-action verbs, whereas work like running, eating, drinking, what are they? These are action verbs, right? So we cannot use future perfect tense, future perfect continuous tense with the non-stative verbs. It can only be used wherein we are referring to a particular action verb. So look at an example. She will have been feeling sad for 2 years. So it is wrong. It's not right. She will have been feeling sad, because feeling sad is not an action verb, right? He will have been waiting for an hour by the time I meet him. So this is right, because waiting is an action verb, whereas this feeling sad is a non-stative verb. It's a non-action verb. So we cannot use the future perfect continuous form of tense with that. Clear? Now, of course, because we've read so many examples, I'm already sure that you've gauged it. How do we formulate it? So will have plus been plus the verb's present participle, right? So will have been walking or will have been talking. So present participle we've already discussed is the ing form of the verb, right? So will have been walking, will have been talking, will have been drinking, will have been eating. So that is what is the punch, or that is what is the key, which will lead you to know that yes, here it is an example of future perfect continuous tense. Okay. So quite a lot we've studied about future tense, right? So now is the time for you all, or for we all, to brainstorm and actually understand and test ourselves whether we've really understood or we were just listening for the sake of listening. I'm sure you all have understood. So let's practice this now. Okay. By our 40th anniversary, this plant will have been growing for 35 years. So which type of future tense is it? It is future perfect continuous tense, because it's will have been growing, right? On Thursday, I will have known you for a week. So what type of tense is it? It is your future perfect tense. At that point, I will have been living in Ireland for 10 years. So will have been living. Again, it is your future perfect continuous. We will be watching a movie next Monday at 3 p.m. So what type of tense is it? It is your will be watching, so it is your future continuous tense. I will complete my assignments by Thursday. So I will complete my assignments. So what type of tense is it? It is your simple future tense. He will not be going to work next week. He will not be going. So will not be going is what type? Very right. It is the continuous form of future tense. Shall I be studying hard for my exam on Sunday? So shall I be studying hard is again your continuous form. Ashish will help me with the preparations. Will help me with the preparation. That's your simple tense. Laura will have cleaned out the apartment before she gives back the key. So what type of tense? It is your perfect tense, because some work which you predict will happen in the future, and before that another work comes into picture, right? By the time I go home, Zoe will have cooked dinner for both of us. Again your perfect tense, perfect form of future tense. The robbers will have taken all the money by the time anyone arrives. Again your future perfect tense, right? So here are the answers ready for you in these two slides for you to refer whenever you want to. Okay, so this here we bifurcated all the sentences into two slides. So here are first few where you can refer to them while you're practicing. Then these are the last few which were left out, right? So friends, this was all about future tense, or rather I'd say concluding tenses. This was all about tenses that we've studied. So all the best, keep learning with Tutorials Point and Tutorix. We will see you again in the next video. Till that time, have a good day.